We are joined by Sarah Schwegel on this episode of Mentor Moments. Sarah is the President and Outreach Coordinator for FestAbility and has an extensive background in advocacy and inclusivity. We are excited to chat with Sarah and learn more about her and her passions. Okay, all right. So, Sarah, thank you again for joining us on Mentor Moments. We really, really appreciate it. Unfortunately, Dr. Keener is not here to spend this episode with us. He is on his way to Buffalo, but we'd love to hear a little bio of you. What do you do? What has brought you to where you are today, Sarah?
Sure. So my name is Sarah Schwegel, and I am the president and lead event planner for FestAbility, a celebration of disability, which is a really, really cool organization that celebrates the disability community through education, empowerment, and unity. We have a big festival coming up on July 23rd at the Missouri History Museum. I'm super excited to be here and share a little bit about that with you all today. But before I get into that too much, a little bit more about me. I have a disability called spinal muscular atrophy. So I use a power chair for all my mobility and use an attendant for all of my personal care needs. And I was a rehab services student at Maryville. I graduated in 2015 and then went on to get my master's in public administration from SLU in 2018. From there, I went to Starclough Disability Institute and worked on their Dream Big program for about a year and a half. Dream Big is a really incredible program that helps young adults and high school students with disabilities start thinking about their future and help them think about like what kind of career they might want, and exposes them to careers outside of the health and human services, because so often for those kids that are surrounded by social workers, OTs, and PTs every single day, all they know is that and the jobs that their parents had. So it's a really great opportunity to get them thinking outside the box a little bit.
Are there any trends that you've noticed already with those, like if they're not going towards those, where what employment places or areas have you noticed this population moving towards?
Yeah, so a lot of folks really, really are trending towards like computer sciences, cybersecurity, anything that they can do from a computer, because that's oftentimes so accessible. There's so many different ways you can adapt a computer to meet any level of disability, whether that's a learning disability or a physical impairment such as paralysis. I think that a lot of students are also going toward, we're encouraging students to go toward trade and technical jobs as well. For those students who don't necessarily love the classroom setting, they can get really great hands-on experience and have a really, really fruitful career in a tech industry. So after I worked at Starclough, I actually then went to Paraquad and was the public policy and advocacy specialist for about 2 years. And then I was the People First advisor for a little bit of time. And that is just such a great program, which empowers people with all levels of disabilities to become self-advocates and active members of their community. And then now I'm at FestAbility, and I also have a really incredible corporate job doing customer service for an organization called Heartland Dental.
Yeah. Wow. Are there any bits or like skills or things or tools that you've picked up along the way through all of those things that have really like shaped your career?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I think I really, during my time at Maryville, I picked up a lot of how to interact with people. The rehab services program was so great for walking through those interpersonal connections and relationships with people of all disabilities, all ability levels. So that was really helpful. I was incredibly involved on campus and in student involvement with event planning and just organizational work. So that has really helped me in my time at FestAbility.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for our listeners that are just now meeting you for the first time, what is something that others might not expect about you, but has helped you in your career or has shaped you as a professional today?
So a couple like fun facts about me is I am an artist and I am a former power soccer athlete. So I played competitive power soccer for about 14 years. And power soccer is one of the only team sports that people who use power chairs can play. So it is inside on a basketball court. It has 4 players per team, a keeper, a center, and 2 wings. I was keeper for all 14 years. And it was a really incredible time just to not only have that experience of like playing a team sport, but also like communication, meeting new people. I was team captain and then I served on the United States Power Soccer Association board as the Eastern Regional Director for a term. So I just was really involved in that sport and it was just really incredible.
I can imagine being like on that board and working, like collaborating with others on that could really like help in the way that you've been like organizing things with FestAbility. I could see how that would like carry over.
Yeah, absolutely. I played a key part in planning the 2019 national tournament. So there were about 60 teams from across the country in one place. So I was in charge of organizing all of the meals and the banquets for that.
Where was it? Was it in St. Louis or?
No, it was in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They have a really wonderful rehab facility. I don't even know if it's a rehab facility, but it's like a community center that's built specifically for people with disabilities. It's called Turnstone Center. If you're ever in Indiana and get a chance to go up to Fort Wayne, definitely check it out because they have some incredible independent living programs and just like inclusive adaptive spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked a little bit about FestAbility and you've kind of given us an overview. What has that been like? What are some neat things about working with FestAbilities? What are some neat things about FestAbilities for those that like aren't maybe organizing it but are participating in it? We'd love to hear a little bit more about what to expect from that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm so excited. This is our first year that we've been able to be in person since 2019. So for about 2 years now, we've been planning and working toward this event. And we are hopefully going to have an incredible headliner who I cannot announce yet, but am hopeful by close of business today, Mountain Standard Time, I will be able to make that announcement. So check back soon. But we'll be having the Bubble Bus, Duo Touch Dogs, the Upper Limits Adaptive Climbing Wall, community art activities, beep ball demo, which is adaptive baseball for folks who are blind and visually impaired. Incredible sport. There's food trucks, beer trucks. The History Museum is open for visitors to experience their galleries with inclusive tours. So they'll be in sign language and they'll be just audio described. We'll have main stage entertainment from local individuals who are disabled, who are performers. Katie Bannister is going to be doing some spoken word poetry. Sean Gold is going to be signing his books and giving a TED Talk. Sean is actually nonverbal. So his TED style talk is going to be through an MP3 file. So he'll be up on stage giving that presentation, and the computer is going to be talking for him. So I think it's just going to be an incredible way for the entire community, not just people with disabilities, to see how assistive technology works so well. And then we're also going to be having a fashion show in partnership with WashU's Made to Model program, which is where formal wear was specifically designed for young people with disabilities so that it would fit their bodies and their wheelchairs and their needs. It's going to be an incredible event. This year, 2 additional things that we've added that weren't there in the past. We are going to be kicking off the event with a Disability Pride March. We'll be kicking that off at the Visitor Center. So we're encouraging folks to meet at 10 a.m. at the Forest Park Visitor Center on July 23rd. And then around probably 10:30, we'll be walking from the Visitor Center to the History Museum. It's a pretty short distance, but we wanted to make sure that it was accessible for everybody. But we'll have time to make some signs. We're going to have some handheld instruments. Potentially a high school band is going to be able to play. And we're just going to have this great celebration of disability and all of the incredible things disabled people can do. Then we'll arrive at the History Museum and gather around our main stage, have a inclusive drum circle for about 15 minutes, and then we'll get started with all of our main stage entertainment.
Wow, that is so much. I'm wondering if you had like a list with you, because I wouldn't have been able to like remember all of those activities and events that are
I'm
going.
going to be real honest with you. I am pacing around my house because I can't do interviews and sit still.
You're doing so well.
And I literally just have some paint on my tray. So no, yeah, that was all off my head. I'm sure I forgot something, but we are getting our website updated in the next week or so. So be sure to check out FestAbility.org. It's FestAbility.org. And that will have an event tab with all the information that you need to know. It has parking information, event schedule. As we get closer to the event, hopefully by about July 15th, we'll be able to have the full main stage schedule listed out on the event website. But I think it's going to be a really fun time. It runs from 11 to 5 at the Missouri History Museum.
Wow. Yeah, we'll be sure for our listeners to include the link to any of those websites that we just listed in the descriptions of this episode. I'm curious, Sarah, what has this experience been like for you? Organizing this, what has that experience been like?
Yeah, it's been absolutely incredible. This is by far the largest event that I've ever organized. In the past, we had about 3,000 attendees, and we are hoping to break those records this year. So this is definitely the biggest event. But I'm really excited. I have learned a lot about how to run and manage a nonprofit. I have learned a little bit about what my personal limits are, and we can kind of get more into that during the mentor moment. But yeah, it's overall been incredible, and I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to take the lead on the event this year and really help it come back from the pandemic really strong.
Yeah, no, it's impressive, and I can only imagine the amount of juggling that has to be done just to keep on top of all of those things. Yeah. So one thing that we like to cover here on Mentor Moments are professional organizations. We always love to highlight those. So Sarah, are there any professional organizations or just organizations in general that you are a part of, or that you would like to shout out to our listeners?
Oh, I have nonprofit organizations. I have a plethora of them in my wheelhouse and in my volunteer repertoire, but a couple that I am really fond of. of course, MRA, Missouri Rehab Counseling Association. Definitely doing that. They have incredible opportunities. I was on the board, the St. Louis board for a while. And it's just such an incredible organization led by your peers. Definitely go to their events and take all those learning opportunities that you can, because they sure offer a lot. And then I have also been involved with Young Nonprofit, YNPN, which is Young Nonprofit Professional Network. They have really great resources as well, especially if you are just starting to enter into the world of nonprofits. They have so many connections, so many wonderful events. They focus a lot on networking and mentoring, and it's just a really, really fabulous organization. And then, of course, Starcroft Disability Institute has a Young Friends Board that I was a part of for many years, and they plan incredible events and help employers across the area become more familiar with working and hiring people with disabilities. So that's a really great organization to get involved with as well.
No, those are perfect. And I can understand how you would have just like a wheelhouse of just organizations that you could probably, name.
Yeah, I can keep going if you want.
Well, if more come to you, then by all means. So we, this is Mentor Moments. The people are ready. We would love just to hand over the mic to you and hear any kind of tips or advice that you would give to our listeners as this episode's mentor.
Yeah. So this is you've probably been told this a million times, and you're probably like, yeah, I'll say no when I'm dead. But really, say no to things, pace yourself, don't overcommit. Since 2018, I had been going pretty nonstop. I hadn't said no to a single opportunity that was offered to me. And quite honestly, I wish I had. I spread myself a little bit too thin, and when the pandemic hit and I was kind of forced to stop, I realized how much of myself I was giving away to the world, and I was not able to take care of myself in a way that I needed to, and I didn't realize that until I completely stopped. So my biggest advice is really practice saying no. It's really hard. It's really painful. Every time I say no, I feel like a tiny bit of my soul has been extracted from me, like Voldemort and Harry Potter style. But truly, in the long run, like, it helps, since I've been saying no more and reprioritizing some of my commitments. Life has gotten a lot easier to manage. It doesn't feel like I'm always holding things together with Scotch tape. I feel like I have a good handle on things. I don't feel like all the kittens are escaping their basket.
I love those analogies. I'm glad that you mentioned COVID, because I think that the whenever we went under like mass quarantine and whenever the pandemic hit, I think that we put like a bit of a pause, and we were able to like step back and look at like, well, what does hustle culture do with this now? I guess we have to pause. And I really appreciate that. Are there signs that for you personally that you noticed, like, okay, like when are you aware that you're like, okay, I need to like start saying no to a couple things?
To be real honest with you, I did not know them until after it was too late. And that's something I am still working on today with like my personal mental health team. So really, if you can build a mental health support system, and if you have the insurance coverage, you're able to get a therapist, even if it's one through an app like BetterHealth, or I know there's several out there. But yeah, that I think that's my advice for sure.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate your honesty in those things. So Sarah, any last shout outs, anything else that you'd like our listeners to go away with, to leave the episode with, any last bits of information that you'd like them to know?
Aside from coming to FestAbility, prioritize yourself, take care of yourself, and do what you need to do, because if you aren't prioritizing yourself, you're not going to be there for your clients and your consumers. You're not going to be able to help them find that, perfect job or perfect career path. Like you're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to do an effective job. So take care of yourself first.
Absolutely. And one more time, when is FestAbility?
Yes, FestAbility is July 23rd from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Missouri History Museum. We will be kicking off the event at the Forest Park Visitors Center at 10 a.m. to meet for a Disability Pride Walk to the History Museum, but all the events start at 11.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and put those links in our description of this episode. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. This has been great to meet you and talk to you and just like hear a little bit about what you do. It's really exciting, and we really want to encourage our listeners to, if you also feel the same and are also feeling as energized as I do, make sure to go check out FestAbility. Take the time out of your day and just see what's out there. It's going to be a great time. So Sarah, thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
So if you're listening to this, that means that you're listening to Mentor Moments. That means that you're probably listening on either Spotify or Apple Music, or maybe you're listening some other way. We just want to recommend that you continue to listen. Tune into some of our previous episodes and stay tuned. Subscribe to us because we'll have plenty more episodes coming your way as well.
In addition to the podcast, we have two other ways for you to stay connected with the Missouri Rehabilitation Association Eastern Chapter and Maryville University's Rehabilitation Counseling Program. We are proud to announce the creation of a YouTube channel and a blog. Both the blog and the YouTube channel will have all things related to the Missouri Rehab Association Eastern Chapter and Maryville University's Rehabilitation Counseling Program. Check us out.